This is the least political thing I've ever seen. It is a equal opportunity shit show.
The elite of this world live in a world different than you and me.
What the scandal is not the depth of this, but the breadth of this. Welcome to Bourbon and Rum, the podcast dedicated to civil conversation. I'm Kent, I like rum, and I'm from the left side of the aisle.
And I'm Kyle, I like bourbon. I tend to be a little more conservative. We're brothers talking politics over bourbon and rum.
What are you drinking?
Well, I'm drinking bourbon and Coke, Diet Coke, because I have a cold and I can't taste anything, so I'm not going to drink my top shelf stuff. I'm drinking on just some stuff at some bottom shelf stuff and a little bit of Diet Coke. I don't even know what I'm drinking, so I think it's bourbon.
Well, I'm going to match you cheap for cheap. I grabbed this bottle of Navy Bay generic Jamaican rum when we were in Minneapolis. And it's normally $14 a bottle, but I got it on sale for $11.
Nice. Hey, we're all about the value here. With inflation, we need to we need to be smart about our booze choices, Ken.
Yeah, this is all before we have a out and out war in the Caribbean, where most of my slurping is distilled. So
that's true.
Well, man, we could call this a breaking news edition, or we're recording on Friday afternoon, the 14th of November, and it's kind of been a week of stuff coming out of the Epstein files. And just interested in what you're seeing and what your take on it is. Any surprises?
Yeah, I mean, there has been some stuff come out. It seems like it's been a trickle, but it's not. What I'm trying to understand is like what's come out when, because my understanding is there's a vote next week to get the motherlode, but then there's a bunch of stuff that was already released. Or
I think the difference, I'm not certain of this, but I think the difference is where it's coming from, because the stuff that the Democrats unilaterally released was not a part of the Epstein files per se, but it was material that was subpoenaed for the congressional investigation.
Okay.
I think that's I could be wrong on that, something like that. So there's more.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Next week is going to be really interesting, and how soon it comes out. And, there's so much of it. It's like, how fast can they process this stuff?
Well, right. And, there's a lot of, grocery lists from Tuesday, May 5th, 2022. Yeah, well, no, not 2020. I mean, 2002. I don't think he was making grocery lists in 22.
But I was amazed at reading some of this email traffic. I mean, people listen to this jackass, apparently.
Yes.
I mean, he's talking about like, yeah, I'll get this foreign leader on the phone. I'll get this foreign leader, and we've already established the guy wasn't a financial, that surely didn't sound like some kind of financial wizard. It sounded like he was a master of information.
Yeah. There's a lot of, some of it's not surprises, but what's creepy in a way is reading the matter-of-factness of the discussion. There's a couple of really salacious ones, but, where it's just him going back and forth with Larry Summers.
Right.
Just crazy to me. And all of those are after his arrest and conviction.
Yes.
And I don't know. I would think that if I was the former president of Harvard University, I just wouldn't hang out with guys that did time for a conviction like he did. But it's like, no problem.
But then you see the nature of the people he's connected to.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's a weird deal for sure. So there were a couple Trump emails that got a lot of attention this week.
Yes.
What do you think of those?
Look, I really want to resist. I'm not going to close the door, and I'm not going to give him a pass. But I think it's dangerous territory and a mistake for Democrats to be rubbing their hands with glee like, oh my gosh, we've got him. Look, Virginia Giuffre said that he didn't do anything with her. I've heard some people say, like, apparently, it was mentioned that he spent hours with her. Even Epstein was like, he did not get a massage. So, but like,
I read that there was supposedly she said that they didn't spend hours together. Now, I don't know, but there's so much out there. Like,
yeah, but like, okay, so even if he didn't get a massage, is it cool for him to just be hanging out? I think the
but that's what I'm saying. There was a report that she said he did not. Like, she refuted that. But then, like, when was this presented? And it does seem like the data is all over the place, and you're getting these reports. It's like, what's really true?
If somebody's waiting for uncontrovertible proof that Trump actually took part in that, I think you're probably going to be disappointed. I think if you're holding your breath for that, you're kidding yourself. To me, the smoking gun, the thing is that Epstein said the one sentence, the one phrase, Trump, quote, knew about the girls. And to me, that's the part. Like, I'm not looking to convict him for doing something. I'm saying, though, it was common knowledge. It was common knowledge to him. And there's that quote of him making that crack about, like, yeah, he likes him on the young side. And I'm just like, his response was he threw him out of the club. I don't know. I just think, I guess I would wish that I would do more.
And then if you see some of, and I think you mentioned this when we were texting back and forth, like, I don't know if you did or not, but like, it appears what he was really pissed at Trump about was like he stole a deal from him or something.
Right. I think juicy and salacious are other things that Epstein said in conversation with other people about implying other kind of, he's not specific, so you don't even know, but kind of corruption or tainted things with Trump. Trump's the dirtiest of them all or something like that. And like you said, there's so much of this, like, I'm getting bits and pieces and I don't know if any of it's justifiable. But there was the thing where he said, yeah, he'd been briefing the Russians about stuff that he knew about Trump. And, who knows what that is?
But then I also think about, like, I mean, I think to some extent it'd be a lot more concerning if Epstein was like, Trump's the best guy in the world. I love him. He's great. Like, if the convicted sex offender was saying glowing things about the guy, I'd be a little more worried about that than he hated him with a passion.
Yeah.
So the other thing that came out, and again, like, every article, and we've talked about this last week, like, everything's political. So everything's got a spin. And like, one of the things last week, it was like, I guess there was some Democratic congresswoman that they signed in, and then she signed the order to give the, to like release the Epstein files. And they're like, well, the Republicans were holding out on reopening the government because they didn't want this lady to sign the thing. And I'm like, well, but they voted 15 times to, pass the continuing resolution, and the Democrats were holding out, yet like somehow the Republicans were hanging on to, so this lady couldn't get sworn in. I'm like, I mean, if they did, if the Epstein files was the biggest thing, then yeah, they could have voted for the CR a month ago. I mean, I don't really know what they got for holding out a month.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing was that I think they made their point when the bills went out for people who now can't afford their Obamacare insurance. I mean, I think that's what they were playing for. I think that the Epstein thing is a sideshow to the shutdown. I'm not sure I would agree with the strategy that Schumer and company took, but I think that's kind of neither here nor there to the Epstein bit. But I think Johnson was sure happy to have the government shut down this long. Did you read about Trump?
But why? And I'm not challenging you. I mean, that may very be the case. I guess I'm just saying rhetorically, like, why the hell would he want to hold up the files? It doesn't make any sense. It's back to the whole age old question of why is anybody holding up these files?
Yeah. Why did you read about Trump summoning Lauren Boebert to the Situation Room?
I know, like I'd like to be a fly on that wall.
Yeah. Again, I think I'm like, this all would make more sense to me if I took the opinion of Trump, like a lot of of the left does, that like he was first in line. He was, he and Epstein, he was with all these girls. I just don't think that's the thing with Trump. If he was this going to the, taking people to the Situation Room to pressure them not to release, makes sense. If he's
Yeah,
not guilty of that, it doesn't make sense.
Well, I saw an interview with Alan Dershowitz, and he was saying when he's defending Epstein the first time, he says to Epstein, he's like, "Is there anybody you got dirt on? Because if you've got dirt on powerful people, you could save yourself some grief." And he specifically said, "What about Trump? I mean, if you got dirt on Trump, this would be the time to play it." And his life's on the line. He doesn't come up with something that to me is odd. Like if there was some damning stuff, that would have been the time to play the Trump card, if you will.
Yeah. But again, I'm with you. I don't think that it doesn't appear to me that there is incontrovertible proof of Trump's direct involvement in the worst of what we're talking about, right? But then why? Why would you literally jeopardize your presidency?
And the base, i.e., and I don't necessarily say I'm the base. I'm probably on the fringe. I hope. I don't think I'm, in the middle of the mega base. I wouldn't call myself that, but I was a supporter. But it's a huge showstopper to me until they fix this. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And why? Yeah. Why is the holdout? I don't get it at all.
And I've heard suppositions that, I mean, it's like every time somebody starts talking, there's another name of, and it's interesting. Look, Trump, Dershowitz, Summers, like that's all old news. I heard Pulte was a part of it, and people said maybe, he's got all these cronies of rich Palm Beach guys, and maybe he's trying to avoid embarrassment for them. But, I don't think I would jeopardize the presidency of the United States for protecting cronies,
Yeah.
And I think the most baffling thing to me is, like, if it exists, do we not believe now that eventually it's coming out? Like at this point,
Yeah.
there's no hiding any.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand.
I really would love to be a fly on the wall in the Boebert meeting and just the White House right now. Like, what are you worried about? Exactly. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's the universe of personalities involved or something.
What about international? I mean, so I'm going to make up a hypothetical case. We knew that he was tight with Ehud Barak. Russia's involved. What if somebody comes to you, you're the president, and the CIA has connected all the dots, and they say, listen, Mr. President, it'd be a little embarrassing for you, it'd be a little embarrassing for your friends, but there's things in that file that would be destabilizing to the world order.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be like.
Well, one thing I thought of that you said knew about the girls, that comment. I'd read, like with Weinstein, after he got convicted, a lot of people in the Hollywood market were like, well, that was going to happen eventually. Like they all knew the guy was a scoundrel and taking heavy liberties with other women and abusive and whatever. And it was like, everybody's, oh, that's Harvey. And it almost sounds like and maybe that's part of what the fear is everybody in this universe, like they all knew this about that son of a bitch, and nobody ever said that. They were all like, yeah, that's how he is. But hey, he can get me access to so and so, or he can get me access to so and so. Like, and does that implicate such a wide swath of people that disqualifies half the potential government leaders?
Yeah. The other thing, in the same vein could be, it might be that Jeffrey Epstein was your go-to if your preference was underage girls. If you like fill in the blank, there's another guy for that. There's another guy for that. And there's this whole ecosystem of rich people's desires being filled. I mean, this is a stretch, right? I have no evidence to this.
Well,
but could it,
but
the
I mean,
ubiquity of the guy be the scandal?
and honestly, that's at the heart of the whole QAnon conspiracy. And I'm not comparing that, but like they're even beyond the QAnon. I mean, that's an extreme form of it. But I think there is a lot of circles of people that think that there is shit that goes on with the elite rich of making up their own rules that, I mean, the QAnon went down one rabbit hole, but I think I don't think it would shock a lot of people to know that the super rich kind of make their own rules and stuff.
Exactly. And if nothing else, this proves that, right? This proves that this guy's on just a first name, chatting it up, emailing back and forth, texting with people basis.
I saw an email with Pritzker.
Not with Jay Pritzker. It was a different Pritzker. I think if it's the one you're thinking of.
Well, they said it was a billionaire.
Yeah, but the whole family's billionaires.
Oh, he's a family member. Okay. I'm trying to think. But it was like they're kidding back and forth. It was like, I forget what the joke was, but like, I mean, there was just a lot of, it's just mind boggling. Again, the guy's not a financial wizard, yet he's connected to all these people. Why is he connected to all these people? Because he's peddling some deep, dark shit. And he's got customers around the world, and they're all in positions of power. And this gets out, and you're ratting out. But then I'm back to like, so nobody that looked at this before would have been like, I mean, I guess at the governmental level, maybe they're all like, this is going to indict us all.
I also believe that I think that maybe what's most threatening to Washington is, this, we know that it's all a show, right? And historically we talked about, congressmen would, Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan would go have a drink together, and we thought that was quaint and charming. But I think on a more nefarious level, like this whole thing is a show that's being put on for us. And the insiders in this show have more in common with each other than they do with any of us. And this does kind of lay that open. He was equally at home with Republicans and Democrats. This is the least political thing I've ever seen. It is a equal opportunity shit show. Let's hypothetically say that whatever else is out there is more of the same, right? I would describe everything that's referred to Trump right now as, kind of tawdry, kind of cringy. I've seen no evidence that he did anything illegal. We already know that immoral is not a very high bar for Trump, but there's no evidence that he did anything illegal. But so what if we get just more and more of this, more evidence of this kind of decadent, sick world of the elites, but not like send people to prison smoking guns? What happens? Do we just like live with that?
That's a really good question, because I think to some extent, I think part of humanity's fascination with conspiracy theories is that they will provide an easy answer to the problems that we have. Like, well, here's the whole problem. They're all in on it. Okay, we need to do a perp walk with 1,000 billionaires and life will be good. Well, it's not going to be that.
Yeah. More and more I'm thinking about that. Like everybody, I'm wishing that there's a ta-da, here it is, the roadmap. You unfold the roadmap, and it's got all the lines between, the pictures of all the people with the string between them. Here's how it works.
Right.
We're not getting that. We're going to get more of this, and it's going to be other side. It's going to be people from both sides. It's going to be people from industry. It's going to be people from academia. But it's just going to. I mean, the dude wasn't an imbecile. He's not going to spell out in an email on October 15th, 2002, President Clinton, former President Clinton, Prince Andrew, like he's not going to give you that.
Yeah. Well,
So,
again, I mean, I think if there was truly like some kind of smoking gun, you could stick somebody on the wall, that should be out by now.
yeah,
With 2 trials and 2 lives at stake. I mean, I don't care what Ghislaine, she would have spilled the beans if there was beans to spill that were meaningful.
yeah. Or that it's not some slam dunk deep thing on anybody, but it's 10,000 emails like the ones that we've seen. They're not really
Yeah, and like the
incriminating.
guy touches everybody in the world. So
Yeah, and they're not, they're not graphic and explicit. They're just like, ugh, the whole thing is cringy, and we're going to see 10,000 cringy emails with innuendo, supposition. Did Dershowitz go to the island? Did he flew on the plane? Did he fly to the island on the plane, or did he fly somewhere else on the plane? And you're not going to find like the surveillance camera video that shows Dershowitz walking into the room. You're not going to get that. You're just going to get this hinting.
But
Well,
who knows? I mean, I am interested to see what happens next week. I mean, it does seem odd that it's been this hard to shake loose this information. If it's just a big nothing burger, then why the hell is the delay? Then why do we need Congress to vote to release? I mean, we need the Congress of the United States to vote on some jerk files. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why is there a vote in Congress?
well, again, what's the scandal? Is if the scandal was 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, really, if it's a prince and a former president and they've got him dead to rights, that's one kind of scandal. The FBI said that there were thousands of victims. Thousands of
Right.
victims kind of implies thousands of perpetrators. Maybe
Yeah,
the scandal.
and then it's like, okay, so then, yeah, good point. I almost used an F-bomb on our podcast, Kent, but I mean, where the blank is the FBI chasing down thousands of perpetrators? Like, yeah, there's thousands of people committing crimes, but yeah, well, we're not going to do anything about it. What?
Yeah. Yeah. And so we've got thousands of emails, thousands of pieces of evidence, and there's going to be thousands of names. And there's not a little black book. There's not a little black book because the little black book would be the size of the phone book. And
Right.
and maybe again, I'm back to what the scandal is not the depth of this, but the breadth of this.
Mm-hmm.
You start finding out, what does that do to the stock market if you go through and 17 or 18% of sitting CEOs of Dow Jones listed companies were mentioned in the emails. And you find out that
Right. They all knew what was going on.
they all knew, everybody knew, and they were all on first name basis with him. And there's no proof that they did anything wrong, but everybody's like, hey, Jeffrey. Like the whole elite of politics, government,
Right.
and economics were all like Jeffrey, like Norm on Cheers. Jeffrey.
How many other Jeffreys are out there?
Yes.
Yeah.
That cater to different vices.
Right.
And yeah, that might be the scandal, the breadth of it. That there's no 1 or 2 or 3 smoking guns. It's just like you open this up and you're going to find tons of people.
That's the swamp drain we really want. They're the part of the elite need to go the way of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Would
He
someone
did
help
not.
me?
It was not a good look for Andrew in the emails. I'll say that. I was never there. You must say that. I can't handle any more of this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, idiot.
It's not exactly justice for the victims, but there has got to be some satisfaction in that guy sitting on hold with the cable company trying to get his new apartment set up.
Yeah, exactly.
He's never dialed a phone before. They hand it to your majesty, and now it's like he's listening to that hold music. That just brings me joy, honestly.
Yeah.
So what do you think the next moves are? They've passed the release the files resolution in the House?
Yeah, I think so, right? I'm saying I'm just kind of
Or did it
looking
come
at.
to a vote yet? Maybe it didn't come to a vote yet.
No, I thought that last gal that they swore in cast the last vote, but I'm like, I don't understand any.
No, I
Again,
think she signed a resolution calling for the vote, but the vote hasn't happened yet. And now, stepping away from the scandal itself per se, I could be wrong on this, but I think that basically these people basically it's like writing a petition and that it's going to force a vote. And the problem is, or the opportunity is, and I've heard multiple people say this, like even people that don't want to go near this with a 10-foot pole, they just want to stay out of it. If there's a resolution voted on the House floor and it's a roll call vote, it's going to be really hard for people to just be, you might be a friend of the president, but when they say, Mr. Clark, how do you vote? Republican, Democrat, people aren't going to be able to not be on the right side of that.
So, okay, so this is interesting. The Epstein files, comprising investigative records, emails, financial documents, and other materials from Epstein's sex trafficking case, are partially controlled by the executive branch, specifically the DOJ under the Trump administration. While the Republican-led House Oversight Committee has independently released over 40,000 pages, including a recent batch of emails, including Trump and others, the remaining files, estimated at tens of thousands more, require congressional action to compel full disclosure. Here's a breakdown of why a vote is necessary. Many unreleased documents stem from federal investigations, including FBI probes, grand jury materials, and sealed court records tied to Epstein's plea deal. These are held by the DOJ, which has broad discretion over their release to protect ongoing sensitivities, yada, yada, yada. The Trump administration has faced criticism for slow rolling. Democrats are pushing for release. Legal and practical barriers without a vote. Without a law, releases rely on voluntary committee actions or court orders. I mean, it kind of points to just the Trump administration is holding this back, but that's one angle. But it sounds like it's also like, what I don't get is it because Trump's administration is withholding it, or is it because of the DOJ policies regarding grand jury testimony and stuff like that? Like somebody has to overrule that, but it sounds like they could just release the crap if they would. So okay, this is even worse. Like, why are they hanging on to it? You're going to lose. The Republicans run the committee. They're going to say, blank you, we're releasing it. Why are you hanging on to it? You're just making yourself look even more guilty, right?
Well, I think that the MO for a long time for Trump and a lot of other politicians is, run out the clock. We live in this 24-hour news cycle, and there's going to be something that comes up and pops it off. And I don't really believe that the government shutdown was engineered to cover this, but it has kind of soaked up the news cycle for a little while. And so I think that there's some sense on people that, well, maybe this will just blow over. And this is like one of the few stories that I've ever seen that defies gravity. It doesn't blow over. It just accelerates.
Case in point, the Bourbon and Rum podcast has not stopped talking about the Epstein files. But one of the things they said is, okay, we need to do? We need to get a lawyer on the phone to break all this down for us. That could be the next interview. But it says these federal files remain sealed unless Congress intervenes, as seen in stalled efforts during the Biden era. So during the Biden era, there were efforts people want them to release, but they didn't release them. But then it's like, okay, why didn't the Biden team release it? Like, what the hell is the reasoning for it?
I don't know. The fact that Biden didn't release it, candidly, in my mind, argues that we are not going to find the magical mystery smoking gun, right? If that existed, it would have been too tempting to release that. More and more,
okay,
and even on the fly, I'm convincing myself that what we've got.
Then why is Trump calling Boebert to the Situation Room? Like, what the hell is that about? I mean,
what we have right now, we have incontrovertible proof that literally hundreds or thousands of elite leaders of the world operated freely and comfortably in an environment where a guy who procured underage girls for sex was one of the guys. And everybody knew it. And that was just business as usual. Like, that's the thing that's proven. And that's disgusting all its own. And we're going to be disappointed because we're not going to get our perp walk. We just got to look ourselves in the eye. Like, our world is governed by bastards like this.
And likely he's not the only one.
Right.
The elite of this world live in a world different than you and me.
Just the ease of conversation with all of them. Every one of these emails, he's just back and forth. He was borderline illiterate or had like fat thumbs or something. If you like, all of these emails are nonsense.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally comfortable.
Yeah.
First name basis, totally comfortable with lots of people. And
yeah,
they all, quote, knew about the girls. Just no problem.
What the hell?
He's that guy.
Right. Yeah.
So if you have a different weakness, you got a different guy? Is there, this is who you call. Oh, is that what you want? Well, you call him. And is this what you want? You call this guy. That's just great.
Is that surprising?
Kind of. Actually, up until seeing some of these emails, I tended to think that it was really like a blackmail, like he really had people by the balls and manipulated people. It actually doesn't look like that. It looks so mundane. It looks not dramatic.
That mundane piece is, to me, what's most troubling. It's like, yeah, it's Epstein. Well, he's one of 60 guys in the Rolodex of, sleazy proclivities.
Yeah, this isn't like, hey, I know something about Trump or Larry Summers or whoever. It's like, yeah, I know this about Trump and I know this about Larry Summers. And we're just, this is how we roll. This is how we roll. That's the outrage to me. This is how we roll.
But okay, did you not think that the elite operated at a different level and the Bohemian Grove and all?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that everybody like, well, you're conspiratorial. Like, it doesn't shock me that the elite with access to tons of money are sleazy.
No, and I'm not saying that. I guess it shocks me that nobody feels even the slightest compunction to be discreet about it.
Right.
Like, that's the part. Like, okay, so you're Bohemian Grove. For God's sakes, there's at least like they own a piece of property in the woods and they've got a fence so people don't walk in on their cabal, right? Like, we didn't bother to put the fence up. We're just sitting here yakking.
But it's kind of like, to me, we were talking, I think last week about the JFK thing, I was saying the linkage between JFK and Epstein, but like, one of the things we were talking about, and I don't normally listen to our podcast just quickly, but I listened to ours last week. And, but we talked a little bit, I brought it up and we kind of batted around like, okay, if it was Johnson, like, how damning would that be for the credibility of the office of the presidency? And I feel like with this thing is the fear of letting it out. It's not necessarily the office of the presidency, but is it that all this really does is it gives credence to all the conspiracies, whether it's QAnon, whether it's any of these marginal conspiracies, that the billionaires and the super rich have a private club and they do all the shit, whatever they want. This is plain and simple validation.
Yeah.
And does that then weaken the ability, the next billionaire that gets up to run for president? Well, how do I know you're not out there procuring, or you don't know of somebody that does this or whatever? And does that like screw it up for everybody?
Yeah. I don't know I don't know what you do. We live in a country where running for dog catcher costs $100,000. So we're automatically selecting for the filthy, stinking rich for these things. Go ahead.
And we've talked about like all these congressmen, like Nancy Pelosi's stock trade picks, or, Maxine Waters is worth like tens of millions of dollars, okay, where'd they come from? But, that's on the left. There's plenty of examples on the right too, where these people go into Congress and they're all of a sudden loaded. And are they all part of the club? Like, you got all these rich people running the show, and then you get into government. Well, you want to get in the club, here you go. But here's the price to pay. It's the price to join. You sell your soul.
I don't think they're in the club. I think you get $10 million for being in Congress, and that's shut up and leave us the hell alone. You're not in the club. I think that's your swamp. I think is the peons that are doing the bidding of the rich, doing the bidding of the real elites again. And I'll say that I don't think you agree with me on this, but I mean, he's never been the richest of the rich. Like, I think he's there's a lot of flash.
One of the prosecutions was that he inflated his position, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But like, is he even, has the club spoken to him and said, yeah, you need to stop this. You're going to screw up the club. And if you don't stop this, but again, what?
The gravy train stops.
Yeah. Like,
well, that's where I'm going, like with all these congressmen. Yeah. They're not necessarily the club runners, but you make 180 grand a year for 20 years and you magically walk away with $30 million in the bank. It's not because you were lucky. I mean, yeah, right. Somebody was lucky, but not all you sons of bitches are lucky. Right. And there's money getting passed around.
Yes.
I guess that's where I'm going is like, everybody loves to denigrate the conspiracy theorists over power and control. I think we're there. I think we're showing that it exists. And this is evidence. This is like, evidence number one here.
It absolutely makes things that I thought were crazy seem less crazy.
That might be the quote of the year. I might the lobby to put you on Time Magazine, like the quote of the year. Things that seemed crazy seem less crazy this year. You think about it. Okay, this Epstein business. How about UFOs? Everybody that thought people were crazy that were looking at UFOs and all the evidence that's coming about. What about AI? Oh my gosh, the stuff that AI does that nobody thought was possible. I do feel like we're in an era of like, you thought last year was some crazy shit. Wait till next year.
That's good business for podcasters right there.
It is. Hey, next week should be pretty interesting after we need to tip for the listeners. You haven't heard the end of Epstein because we're probably going to be talking about it next week too.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this episode of Bourbon and Rum Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us keep the good spirits flowing.
And we invite you to join this conversation. Follow us on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear.
And until next time, cheers.